I was debugging a client's network security system when my world imploded. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here I was, protecting other people's digital lives while my own was about to get hacked by the person I trusted most. Jack, we need to talk. Catherine stood in the doorway of my home office, her arms crossed, wearing that expression I'd learned to dread over our 7 years of marriage. It was the same look she gave incompetent vendors at her marketing firm. Cold, calculating, already 3 steps ahead of whatever poor soul was about to get steamrolled. What's up, Cat? I saved my work and swiveled around in my chair. If it's about the dishwasher making that noise again, I already ordered the part. It's not about the dishwasher. She stepped into the room and closed the door behind her. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be about household maintenance or weekend plans. Catherine had been distant for the past month. Not just busy with work distant, but genuinely cold. She'd been constantly texting, always angling her phone away when I walked by. When I'd ask who she was messaging, she'd give me vague answers about work projects or her friend Melissa. The late nights at the office had increased, the conversations at dinner had decreased. I'm not an idiot. I run a cybersecurity business. I notice patterns, anomalies, behavioral changes, but I'd been hoping I was wrong, that maybe she was just stressed about the Henderson campaign her firm had been pitching. I want to spend one evening with Marcus. The words hit me like a physical blow. Marcus, her ex-boyfriend from college, the guy she'd dated for 3 years before we met. The same Marcus who tried to win her back at our wedding reception, drunk and belligerent, until my brother and 2 groomsmen escorted him out. What? I managed to say, though my throat felt like sandpaper. You heard me. I need one evening with Marcus, just one night. I stared at her, waiting for the punchline, for her to break into a smile and tell me this was some kind of twisted joke, but Catherine's face remained stone cold, serious. Why? The question came out as barely a whisper. I need closure before we can move forward. Closure? Cat, we're married. We've been married for 7 years. What closure could you possibly need? Her jaw tightened. I still have feelings for him. I need to explore them. Explore them? I stood up, my chair rolling backward and hitting the wall. What the hell does that mean? You want to explore your feelings for your ex while you're married to me? Don't be dramatic, Jack. Dramatic? My wife just told me she wants to spend an evening with her ex-boyfriend to explore her feelings. How exactly should I react? Catherine's expression shifted, becoming even colder if that was possible. You can react by being reasonable. It's one evening, one night, then I'll know for sure, and we can move forward with our marriage. Absolutely not. The words came out harder than I intended. I'm not giving you a hall pass to cheat on me. Then I'll make sure you get nothing in the divorce. The room went silent except for the hum of my computer equipment. I felt like I'd been sucker punched. Excuse me? You heard me, Jack. If you don't allow me this one evening, I'll ruin you. I'll tell everyone you've been abusive. I'll take everything, the house, the business, whatever money we have. You'll be left with nothing. I sank back into my chair, processing what I was hearing. You're threatening me. I'm telling you how it's going to be. I've already talked to a lawyer. I know exactly what I need to say and do to make sure you end up with nothing. Domestic abuse allegations, emotional manipulation, financial control. I can paint a very convincing picture. But none of that is true. Doesn't matter. It's my word against yours, and I'm very good at being convincing. You know that? She was right. Catherine was exceptional at her job precisely because she could sell anyone on anything. She could make people believe black was white if it served her purposes. So what's it going to be, Jack? One evening with Marcus, or I destroy you in court? I sat there staring at my wife, this woman I'd loved, supported, built a life with, and realized I was looking at a stranger. A calculating, manipulative stranger who was willing to obliterate our marriage to get what she wanted. What happens during this evening? Whatever I want to happen. You mean you're going to sleep with him? Probably, yes. The casual way she said it, like she was confirming dinner plans, made my stomach turn. And after that? After you've explored your feelings? Then we move forward, together, as a married couple. You think I'm going to want to stay married to you after you cheat on me? It's not cheating if you give permission. And yes, I think you'll stay married to me because the alternative is losing everything you've worked for. I looked around my office, at the business I'd built from nothing, at the house we'd restored together, at the life I'd thought we were building. She was holding all of it hostage for one night with her ex. I need time to think. You have until tomorrow morning. I want to see Marcus on Saturday night. She turned and walked toward the door, then paused with her hand on the handle. Jack, make the smart choice. It's just one night. Then this will all be over and we can go back to normal. After she left, I sat in the silence for a long time. Then I picked up my phone and called the one person who might be able to help me navigate this nightmare. Peter Vaughn's office. Hi, this is Jack Leland. I need to speak with Peter immediately. It's an emergency. Peter had handled the legal work when I'd started my business. He was sharp, unflappable, and had a reputation for creative problem solving. Jack, what's going on? My wife just blackmailed me into letting her cheat. There was a pause. Come again? I explained the entire conversation, word for word. Peter listened without interrupting. Well, he said finally, that's definitely blackmail and extortion. The question is, what do you want to do about it? I want to protect myself, and I want to make sure she doesn't destroy me. Then here's what you're going to do. You're going to record everything. Every conversation, every threat, every demand. Massachusetts is a two-party consent state, but there are exceptions for protecting yourself from criminal activity. What she's doing is criminal. You think I should agree to her demands? I think you should buy yourself time and evidence. Let her think she's won while you build a case. Can you get recording equipment? Peter, I run a cybersecurity business. I can get recording equipment that would make the FBI jealous. Good. Record everything. And Jack, don't let her know what you're doing. If she's willing to blackmail you and commit adultery, she's capable of anything. After I hung up, I sat in my office planning my next moves. Catherine thought she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. She was about to learn that I'd been playing chess all along. She just hadn't realized the game had started. Friday morning, I drove to my shop early. Leland Security Solutions occupied a modest space in a strip mall between a dry cleaner and a sandwich shop. But it was mine. I'd built it from nothing after getting laid off from a corporate IT job 5 years ago. Now I had 3 employees and more business than I could handle. Travis, my lead technician, was already there when I arrived, hunched over a laptop with his usual energy drink and confused expression. Morning, boss. This thing is fighting me harder than my ex-wife fought the prenup. What's the problem? Ransomware. Nasty stuff. But I think I can crack it without paying these scumbags. I nodded, but my mind was elsewhere. I walked to my office and locked the door, then opened my equipment cabinet. If Catherine wanted to play dirty, I'd make sure I had insurance. I selected a small digital recorder, barely larger than a thumb drive, with 48 hours of battery life. Then I grabbed a backup unit and a wireless transmitter that could send audio to my phone in real time. I also pulled out a GPS tracker, the kind I use to help clients monitor their company vehicles. By the time I got home, Catherine was in the kitchen making coffee, humming to herself. She looked happier than she had in weeks. Good morning, she said brightly. Sleep well? Fine. I poured myself coffee and activated the recorder in my pocket. So you're really going through with this? I told you what I needed, Jack. I'm glad you're being reasonable about it. Reasonable, right. I stirred my coffee slowly. What time are you meeting him? 7 o'clock. We're having dinner first. Then we'll see where the evening goes. Where? The Riverside Inn. Marcus booked us a suite. Of course he did. Marcus Flint, regional sales director for some pharmaceutical company, always had money to throw around. I remembered him from the few times we'd run into him around town, expensive suits, flashy watch, Tesla Model S. Everything about him screamed, look at me. And you'll be back when? Sunday morning. I want to take my time with this, Jack. Make sure I really understand my feelings. So not just one evening, a whole weekend. Her smile faltered slightly. Does it matter? You agreed to this. I agreed to one evening. Now it's a weekend getaway. Don't be petty. It's just one extra night. I nodded and drank my coffee, the recorder capturing every word. Catherine was already changing the terms, proving Peter's point about documenting everything. That afternoon, while Catherine was at work, I made my preparations. I disabled the GPS in her car, telling her later that it needed a software update. What I actually did was install my own tracking device, one she'd never find. I also slipped a small AirTag into the inner pocket of her purse, the kind Apple made for finding lost keys. If she was going to blow up our marriage, I wanted to know exactly where and when. I moved our important documents to a safe deposit box I'd opened without telling her. Birth certificates, insurance policies, business records, everything she might try to use against me. I also transferred most of our savings to a business account she didn't have access to. Legally questionable, maybe, but I wasn't about to let her clean us out. Around 5 o'clock, I drove to the Mill, the local bar where half the town's business got conducted over beer and wings. Lenny Morrison, the owner and bartender, was an ex-cop who knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. Jack, haven't seen you in a while. How's the security business? Can't complain. Hey, Lenny, what do you know about Marcus Flint? Lenny's expression darkened. That piece of work? Why do you ask? Just curious. Heard his name around town. Well, since you asked. Lenny leaned across the bar and lowered his voice. That guy's been through half the married women in 3 counties. Always goes after the ones with money or status. Promises them the world, gets what he wants, then disappears when things get messy. Sounds like a real charmer. Last year, he broke up the Hendersons' marriage. Tom Henderson found out Marcus had been screwing his wife for months, promising to leave his own wife and run away together. Of course, when push came to shove, Marcus vanished. Tom and Linda are divorced now, and Marcus is still married to his rich wife in Boston. My blood ran cold. He's married? Oh yeah. Wife's some kind of investment banker. They've got a place on Beacon Hill, but that doesn't stop old Marcus from playing house with lonely housewives out here in the suburbs. I finished my beer and left, my mind racing. Catherine didn't know Marcus was married, or maybe she did and didn't care. Either way, she was walking into something uglier than she realized. Saturday evening arrived too soon. Catherine spent 2 hours getting ready, trying on 3 different dresses before settling on a black number I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. The irony was bitter. How do I look? She asked, posing in the hallway mirror. Beautiful, I said, because she did. That was the worst part. She was still the woman I'd fallen in love with, at least on the surface. She kissed my cheek, her perfume filling my nostrils. Thank you for understanding, Jack. This means everything to me. I'm sure it does. She grabbed her purse, the one with the AirTag, and headed for the door. I'll text you later. Can't wait. After she left, I sat in our living room and opened the tracking app on my phone. The red dot that represented my wife was moving toward downtown, toward the Riverside Inn, toward Marcus. My phone buzzed with a text. Just arrived. Marcus looks amazing. Thank you again for this. I didn't respond. An hour later, another text. Having dinner now. The conversation is incredible. I forgot how well we connect. Still didn't respond. At 10:30. Heading upstairs now. Having such a wonderful time. Don't wait up. I turned off my phone and poured myself a scotch. Then another. By midnight, I was drunk enough to stop thinking about what was happening in that hotel room. Sunday morning, I woke up on the couch with a splitting headache and the taste of regret in my mouth. My phone showed 17 missed calls and 23 text messages, all from Catherine. The messages started apologetic. Jack, please answer. I know you're upset. Then worried. I'm getting scared. Please just let me know you're okay. Finally angry. This is ridiculous. You agreed to this. Don't punish me for doing exactly what we discussed. At 6:15 a.m., I heard her car in the driveway. I quickly activated the recorder and positioned myself in the kitchen, nursing a cup of coffee and trying to look less hungover than I felt. Catherine walked in glowing. There was no other word for it. Her hair was messed up, her makeup was gone, and she had that satisfied look of a woman who'd gotten exactly what she wanted. I'm back, she announced, like she'd just returned from a business trip. I can see that. How was it? Amazing. Marcus and I, we really connected. It was like old times, but better. Better how? We're both more mature now. We know what we want. The conversation was incredible, and the physical chemistry... She trailed off, smiling at some private memory. So you slept with him? Obviously. That was the whole point, wasn't it? I nodded slowly, fighting the urge to throw my coffee mug at the wall. And now? Now we can move forward. In our marriage. I got it out of my system, Jack. I know where I belong now. You think we're staying married after this? Of course we are. This was about closure, remember? Now I have it. I stared at her, amazed by her ability to rationalize what she'd done. Catherine, you just spent the weekend cheating on me. You blackmailed me into allowing it. And now you think we're going to go back to normal? Don't be so dramatic. You agreed to this, and it's over now. We can put this behind us and work on our marriage. Work on our marriage. I repeated the words like they were foreign. Right. Catherine poured herself coffee and sat across from me at the kitchen table. I know this was hard for you, but it was necessary. I needed to know if what Marcus and I had was real or just nostalgia. And what did you decide? That what we had was special, but it's in the past. My future is with you? How generous, she frowned. You're being sarcastic. Am I? My mistake. Jack, I need you to be supportive here. This was difficult for me too? Difficult. You seemed pretty happy when you walked in. I'm happy because I have clarity now. We can move forward without this hanging over us. Oh, I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at our backyard. The garden Catherine had planted when we first moved in was starting to bloom. Everything looked normal, peaceful, like the world hadn't just shifted on its axis. There's something you should know about Marcus, I said without turning around. What about him? He's married. The silence behind me stretched out for a long moment. What? Marcus is married, has been for 8 years. His wife is an investment banker in Boston. They have a house on Beacon Hill. That's impossible. He told me he was single. I turned around to face her. Lenny Morrison filled me in yesterday. Apparently Marcus has a habit of seducing married women, promising them the world, then disappearing when things get complicated. Last year he destroyed the Hendersons' marriage the same way. Catherine's face had gone pale. You're lying. Call him. Ask him about his wife Sarah. She grabbed her phone and dialed. I could hear it ringing on speaker. Marcus, it's me. I need to ask you something. Are you married? Even from across the room, I could hear the pause before he answered. Kat, we should talk about this later. Are you married, yes or no? It's complicated. It's not complicated. Either you have a wife or you don't. I do, but... She hung up and stared at her phone like it had bitten her. He lied to me. Shocking. This changes everything. Does it? You still blackmailed me. You still cheated. You still spent the weekend with another man. The fact that he turned out to be a lying scumbag doesn't change what you did. Catherine's composure was starting to crack. I need to think about this. Take your time. But while you're thinking, there's something else you should know. I pulled out my phone and played back the recording from Thursday night. Her voice filled the kitchen. If you don't allow me this one evening, I'll ruin you. I'll tell everyone you've been abusive. Her face went white. You recorded me? Every word. That's illegal. Actually, it's not. A new voice came from the kitchen doorway. In Massachusetts, recording conversations is legal when documenting criminal activity. Blackmail and extortion definitely qualify. Catherine spun around to see Peter Vaughn walking into our kitchen, briefcase in hand. Who the hell are you? Peter Vaughn. I'm Jack's attorney. What are you doing in my house? Protecting my client's interests. And based on what I just heard, he's going to need protection. Catherine looked back and forth between Peter and me, panic starting to show in her eyes. What do you want? A divorce, I said. On my terms? Catherine stared at Peter like he was a poisonous snake that had somehow materialized in our kitchen. You can't use that recording. It's illegal. Peter adjusted his glasses and smiled. Mrs. Leland, I've been practicing law for 23 years. I know what's admissible and what isn't. Your husband was documenting criminal threats against him. The recording is not only legal, it's evidence. Evidence of what? Blackmail, extortion, coercion, and now adultery, which affects asset distribution in Massachusetts divorce proceedings. Catherine's coffee mug slipped from her hands and shattered on the kitchen floor. Neither Peter nor I moved to clean it up. Jack, please, we can work this out. What happened with Marcus was a mistake. The mistake was trusting you, I said. The blackmail, the threats, the cheating, that was all deliberate. I was confused. I wasn't thinking clearly. You were thinking very clearly. You had a plan, you executed it, and now you're facing the consequences. Peter opened his briefcase and pulled out a folder. Mrs. Leland, I'm prepared to file divorce papers this morning. Given the evidence of blackmail and adultery, my client is seeking full custody of any future children, the house, the business, and the majority of marital assets. You can't do this. Actually, we can, Peter continued calmly. Massachusetts courts take a very dim view of spouses who use blackmail and false abuse allegations as leverage. When a judge hears that recording, your credibility will be destroyed. Catherine turned to me with desperation in her eyes. Jack, I love you. I made a terrible mistake, but I love you. You love me so much you blackmailed me into letting you cheat. I was scared. I was having doubts about our marriage, and instead of talking to you about it, I panicked. I thought if I could just get Marcus out of my system, we could move forward. By threatening to destroy me if I didn't go along with it. I never would have followed through on those threats. Peter laughed. Actually laughed. Mrs. Leland, you spent considerable time detailing exactly how you would frame your husband for abuse. You researched the legal ramifications. You consulted with an attorney about divorce strategy. That's not panic, that's premeditation. How do you know about... Catherine stopped mid-sentence, realizing she'd just confirmed Peter's accusations. Because I make it my business to know, Peter said. When a client tells me his wife is blackmailing him, I investigate. Your consultation with Jennifer Walsh was very enlightening. Catherine sank into a chair, her face ashen. Jennifer told you about our conversation? Jennifer Walsh has a reputation to maintain. When I explained that you were planning to make false abuse allegations, she was very cooperative. No lawyer wants to be associated with perjury and fraud. I watched my wife crumble and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no sadness. Just a cold emptiness where 7 years of love and trust used to be. What do you want from me? Catherine whispered. Nothing, I said. I want you out of my house, out of my life, and out of my business. Peter will handle the legal details. Jack, please, no. The word came out harder than I intended. You made your choice when you decided to blackmail me. You made it again when you chose to cheat. Now I'm making mine. Catherine stood up abruptly, knocking over her chair. Fine. You want to destroy our marriage over one mistake? Go ahead, but don't think this is over. I'll fight you on everything. With what lawyer? Peter asked mildly. Jennifer Walsh won't represent you now. Most reputable attorneys won't touch a case involving documented blackmail and perjury. I'll find someone. Good luck. And Mrs. Leland, when you do find representation, make sure you tell them about the recording. Full disclosure is important. Catherine stormed out of the kitchen. A few minutes later, I heard her upstairs, throwing things into suitcases. Peter and I sat in silence until she came back down, dragging 2 bags behind her. This isn't over, Jack. Yes, it is. She slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. Through the kitchen window, I watched her throw her bags in the car and screech out of the driveway. Well, Peter said, that went better than expected. Better how? She didn't try to destroy anything valuable on her way out. Usually there's more property damage involved. I almost smiled. What happens now? Now we file papers and wait. Given the evidence, this should be straightforward. She might try to fight it, but any lawyer she finds will advise her to settle quickly and quietly. And if she doesn't? Then we go to court and play that recording for a judge. Trust me, Jack, she'll settle. After Peter left, I walked through the house, noting all the things Catherine had taken. Her clothes, her jewelry, her laptop, some books. She'd also taken the coffee maker, which seemed petty until I realized it was the expensive one her mother had given us for Christmas. I should have felt victorious. I'd outmaneuvered her completely, turned her own blackmail scheme against her. But all I felt was tired. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Marcus. We need to talk. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, No, we don't. You don't understand the situation. I understand it perfectly. You're a married man who seduced my wife. Pretty simple. It's not that simple. Catherine told me you were separated. And you believed her? She was very convincing. I almost laughed. Of course she was. Catherine could sell ice to Eskimos. Look, Marcus continued, I never meant for this to get so complicated. I thought you two were getting divorced anyway. Well, now we are. Congratulations. Can we meet somewhere? I want to explain. I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. The mill, 1 hour. The mill was busy for a Sunday afternoon. Half the town seemed to be there watching baseball and eating wings. I spotted Marcus immediately. He was the guy in the expensive polo shirt looking completely out of place among the blue-collar regulars. Jack? He stood up as I approached his table. Thanks for meeting me. Don't thank me yet. Up close, Marcus was exactly what I'd expected. Handsome in a generic way, with perfect teeth and the kind of tan that came from golf courses, not construction sites. Everything about him screamed money and privilege. I want to apologize, he said as I sat down. I had no idea Catherine was lying about your marriage. She wasn't lying. We were married. We're getting divorced now. But she said you two were separated, that you were just living in the same house for financial reasons. And you believed that? Marcus shifted uncomfortably. She was very convincing, and I wanted to believe it. Because you wanted to sleep with her. Because I loved her. I never stopped loving her. I signaled the bartender for a beer. You have a funny way of showing love, lying about being married, for instance. That's complicated. No, it's not. You're married. You lied about it. That's not complicated. It's just dishonest. Marcus ran his hands through his hair. My marriage is over. Has been for years. Sarah and I live separate lives. But you're still married. Legally, yes, but not emotionally. Did you tell Catherine that? I told her my situation was complicated. That's not the same thing. Marcus was quiet for a moment, staring at his drink. You're right. I should have been honest. Little late for that now. What are you going to do? About what? About Catherine. About us. I laughed, and it came out bitter. There is no us, Marcus. There's you, a married man who lies to women to get them into bed. There's Catherine, my soon-to-be ex-wife who blackmailed me into letting her cheat. And there's me, trying to pick up the pieces of my life. She blackmailed you? I pulled out my phone and played a portion of the recording. Marcus's face went pale as he listened to Catherine's threats. Jesus Christ, he whispered. I had no idea. Now you do. What can I do to fix this? Nothing. You can't fix this. The damage is done. Marcus leaned forward, lowering his voice. Look, I know this is screwed up, but I think Catherine and I could have something real, if you're getting divorced anyway. Stop. I held up my hand. Just stop. You think I'm going to give you my blessing to date my ex-wife, the woman who destroyed our marriage to be with you? I thought maybe. You thought wrong. I stood up to leave, but Marcus grabbed my arm. Wait, please. I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back at his face. Let go. He released me immediately. I'm sorry. I need you to understand. I love her. You love the idea of her. You love the fantasy she sold you, but you don't know her, Marcus. If you did, you'd run. What do you mean? I mean, Catherine is capable of things you can't imagine. She blackmailed her own husband. She lied to you about our marriage. She used both of us to get what she wanted. What makes you think she won't do the same thing to you? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Because it's different with us. We have history. Yeah, you do. She chose me over you 10 years ago. What makes you think she won't choose someone else over you 10 years from now? I left him sitting there with that thought and walked out of the mill. Outside, the afternoon sun felt too bright, too cheerful for the wreckage of my life. My phone buzzed with another text from Catherine. Marcus told me you two talked. We need to discuss this like adults. I typed back, talk to my lawyer. Jack, please, I know I hurt you, but we can work through this. No, we can't. I'm willing to go to counseling. I'll do whatever it takes. It's too late. It's never too late if two people love each other. I stared at that message for a long time before responding. The problem is, only one person in this marriage was capable of love. The other person was capable of blackmail. She didn't respond to that. The divorce papers were filed Monday morning. By Tuesday, the story was all over town. Small communities are like that. Secrets don't stay secret long, especially when they involve blackmail and adultery. I learned this when I stopped by the mill after work and found myself the center of attention in a way I'd never experienced. Lenny pulled me aside as soon as I walked in. Jack, I heard about what happened. I'm sorry, man. Thanks, Lenny. For what it's worth, most people think Catherine lost her damn mind. Nobody can understand why she'd throw away a good marriage for that slick bastard. How does everyone know already? Lenny grinned. Mrs. Patterson from the courthouse has a big mouth. Plus, Catherine's been calling around town, trying to get people to take her side. It's not going well. What do you mean? I mean, she called my wife yesterday, crying about how you're being unreasonable and won't forgive one little mistake. Linda told her that blackmailing your husband into letting you cheat isn't exactly a little mistake. I ordered a beer and tried to process the fact that my private nightmare had become public entertainment. Jack? A voice behind me made me turn around. It was Tom Henderson, the guy Lenny had mentioned, the one whose marriage Marcus had destroyed. Tom, how are you? Better than I was a year ago. Heard you're dealing with the same piece of garbage that wrecked my life. Something like that. Tom sat down next to me. Mind if I give you some advice? Go ahead. Don't let him get away with it. Marcus thinks he's untouchable because he's got money and connections. But guys like him have weaknesses. What kind of weaknesses? His wife, for one. Sarah Flint is a smart woman with a lot of pride. She doesn't know about his extracurricular activities. You're sure about that? Positive. I hired a private investigator after I found out about him and Linda. Marcus has been cheating for years, but he's careful to keep it away from Boston. His wife thinks he's a traveling salesman with high moral standards. I sipped my beer, thinking. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting that Sarah Flint might be interested to know what her husband does when he's out of town, especially if someone could provide proof. Tom, I appreciate the thought, but I'm not looking for revenge. I just want this over with. That's what I thought too. Then Marcus started calling Linda, trying to convince her to leave me and run away with him. Even after our marriage was destroyed, he wouldn't let go. Is he still bothering her? Not anymore. Not after Sarah found out about him. I studied Tom's face. You told his wife. I provided her with documentation. Photos, hotel receipts, phone records. She filed for divorce and took him for everything he was worth. Turns out prenups don't hold up when there's evidence of adultery. And now? Now Marcus is living in a studio apartment and driving a 10-year-old Honda. Funny how quickly a man's charm fades when his bank account does. Tom finished his beer and stood up. I'm not telling you what to do, Jack, but if Marcus comes sniffing around Catherine again, and he will, you might want to have some leverage. After Tom left, I sat at the bar thinking about what he'd said. I wasn't a vengeful person by nature, but I also wasn't naive. If Marcus was going to pursue Catherine, he'd become a permanent problem in my life. My phone rang. Catherine. Jack, we need to talk. I told you to talk to my lawyer. This is important. It's about Marcus. Despite myself, I was curious. What about him? He wants me to move in with him. Congratulations. Jack, I'm scared. I think I made a terrible mistake. Which mistake? Blackmailing me, cheating on me, or getting involved with a married sociopath. All of it. I think Marcus lied to me about everything. What gave you that impression? He's not who he pretended to be. His apartment is tiny, his car is falling apart, and he keeps asking me for money. I almost laughed. Catherine, did you do any research before you blew up our marriage for this guy? I thought I knew him. You knew him 10 years ago. People change. Can we meet somewhere, please? I need to tell you something important. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her at a coffee shop downtown. She was already there when I arrived, looking haggard and nervous. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down. What's so important? Marcus isn't who he said he was. He's been lying about everything. His job, his money, his marriage. I know about his marriage. Did you know he was fired from his sales job 6 months ago? Or that he's been living off credit cards and whatever money he can get from women? I hadn't known that, but it explained a few things. How did you find out? I started asking questions after you told me he was married. I called his company. I looked up public records. Jack, he's a con man. And you're just figuring this out now? Catherine's eyes filled with tears. I know how this looks. I know I destroyed our marriage for nothing, but I need you to know that I never meant for any of this to happen. You blackmailed me, Catherine. You threatened to lie about abuse. You planned this whole thing. I was desperate. I was having doubts about our marriage, and instead of talking to you, I convinced myself that being with Marcus would solve everything. So, you decided to force me to go along with it. I thought if I could just get it out of my system, we could be happy together. I stared at her across the table, this woman I'd loved, trusted, built a life with. Catherine, do you understand what you did? You didn't just cheat on me. You made me complicit in my own humiliation. You forced me to give you permission to destroy our marriage. I know, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this. What if I could fix it? What if I could prove to you that I've learned from this mistake? How? I'll testify against Marcus. I'll tell everyone what he really is. I'll make sure he can't hurt anyone else the way he hurt us. I studied her face, trying to determine if this was genuine remorse or another manipulation. Why would you do that? Because I love you. Because I want to make this right. Catherine, you can't make this right. What's done is done. But I can try. And maybe, eventually, you might be able to forgive me. I'm not looking for revenge against Marcus. I just want to move on with my life. But he won't let us move on. He keeps calling me, demanding that I choose between you and him. He thinks he owns me now. What did you tell him? That I needed time to think. But Jack, he's getting angry. He says if I don't leave you, he'll make both our lives miserable. How? He knows things about your business. Client information, security protocols. He says he can ruin your reputation. I felt a chill run down my spine. What kind of client information? I don't know exactly, but I may have mentioned some things about your work when we were together. What things? Names of clients, the type of security systems you install. I thought I was just making conversation. Jesus, Catherine, do you realize what you've done? I didn't think. No, you didn't think. You gave confidential business information to a con man who's now threatening to use it against me. Catherine was crying now. I'm sorry. I'll fix this. I'll get the information back. How? I'll meet with him. I'll record our conversation, get him to admit what he's planning. I thought about it for a moment. It was risky, but if Marcus was planning to target my business, I needed to know. You'd do that? Yes, I owe you that much. And then what? You think one good deed erases everything you've done? No, but maybe it's a start. I looked at Catherine, really looked at her, and saw something I hadn't seen in months. Genuine remorse, fear, the recognition of what she'd lost. If you do this, I said slowly, it doesn't change anything between us. We're still getting divorced. I understand. And if you're lying to me, if this is some kind of scheme to get back together, I'll destroy you in court. I'm not lying. I just want to fix what I broke. I gave her my spare recording device and explained how to use it. Get him to admit what he's planning. Get details about what information he has and how he plans to use it. What if he gets suspicious? Then you leave immediately. Catherine, this man is dangerous. If you feel threatened at all, you get out of there. She nodded, wiping her eyes. When should I do this? Tonight. The sooner we know what we're dealing with, the better. As I watched her leave the coffee shop, I wondered if I was making a mistake. But if Marcus was planning to target my business, my livelihood, I needed to stop him before he could do any damage. I just hoped Catherine was finally telling me the truth. Catherine called me at 8 o'clock that evening. I'm meeting Marcus at his apartment in an hour. He thinks I'm coming to tell him I'm leaving you. Are you sure about this? No, but I'm doing it anyway. Her voice was steadier than I'd expected. Jack, if something goes wrong, nothing's going to go wrong. You get the information and leave. Don't try to be a hero. I won't. I just wanted you to know. I really am sorry. For everything. After she hung up, I drove to Marcus's apartment complex and parked across the street. I wasn't planning to interfere, but I wanted to be close by in case Catherine needed help. Marcus lived in Riverside Gardens, a complex that had been upscale 20 years ago but now looked tired and worn. I could see Catherine's car in the parking lot and a light on in a second-floor apartment. My phone buzzed with a text. I'm inside. Recording started. For the next hour, I sat in my car and waited. At 10:15, my phone rang. Jack, I got it. I got everything. Are you okay? I'm fine. I'm in my car. Can you meet me at the coffee shop? On my way. Catherine was already there when I arrived, pale but triumphant. She handed me the recording device with shaking hands. He confessed to everything, she said. The con games, the other women, the plans to blackmail you. What exactly did he say? He has a list of your clients and their security systems. He was planning to sell the information to competitors, maybe even arrange some break-ins to make your systems look unreliable. My blood ran cold. He said that? Word for word. He also bragged about the other women he scammed. There's a woman in Springfield he took for $50,000. Another one in Hartford who lost her house. I plugged the device into my phone and listened to the recording. Marcus's voice was clear and incriminating. Your husband thinks he's so smart with his little security business. Wait until his clients find out their systems have been compromised. I've got enough information to ruin him. How did you get the information? Catherine's voice asked. From you, sweetheart. You told me everything during our pillow talk. Client names, system types, even some passwords. Jack's going to wish he'd been more cooperative. What do you mean? I mean, he should have minded his own business instead of trying to break us up. Now he's going to pay for it. The recording continued for another 20 minutes, with Marcus detailing his various schemes and Catherine carefully drawing out more information. By the end, we had enough evidence to destroy him. This is incredible, I told Catherine. This is enough to put him in prison. What do we do now? Now we call the police, and then we call his wife. Catherine flinched. His wife? Sarah Flint deserves to know what kind of man she's married to, and she deserves to hear this recording. Jack, I don't think... Catherine, this man is a predator. How many other women is he going to hurt if we don't stop him? She was quiet for a moment, then nodded. You're right. What do you need me to do? Nothing. You've done enough. Go home, get some sleep. I'll handle the rest. Home where? I've been staying at a motel since Sunday. I'd forgotten that she'd moved out. Where are you staying? The Budget Inn on Route 9. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Catherine, after we deal with Marcus, what are your plans? I don't know. I guess I'll look for an apartment. Maybe move back to my parents' place for a while. And your job? I'm taking a leave of absence. I can't concentrate on work right now. I studied her face in the harsh fluorescent light of the coffee shop. She looked exhausted, defeated, older than her 35 years. For what it's worth, I said, you did the right thing tonight. Does that matter? It matters. It doesn't fix what you did to our marriage, but it matters. Catherine's eyes filled with tears again. I know I can't undo what I did, but Jack, if there's any chance... There isn't. I know. I had to ask. After Catherine left, I sat in my car and called Peter Vaughn. Jack, it's late. Is everything okay? I need you to listen to something. I played him the recording. When it finished, Peter was quiet for a long moment. Well, he said finally, that certainly complicates Mr. Flint's situation. What should we do? First, we call the police. This is clear evidence of conspiracy to commit fraud and possibly burglary. Second, we call his wife's attorney. And third, we make sure this recording gets to the district attorney. Will this affect my divorce case? It might actually help. Catherine's cooperation in exposing Marcus shows she's trying to make amends. A judge might view that favorably. I don't want the judge to go easy on her, Peter. I understand. But Jack, Catherine took a significant risk tonight. Marcus could have hurt her if he'd discovered what she was doing. She was cleaning up her own mess. True, but she was also protecting you and your business. After I hung up with Peter, I called the number Tom Henderson had given me for Sarah Flint's attorney. It went to voicemail, so I left a detailed message and promised to send the recording first thing in the morning. Then I drove home to my empty house and tried to process everything that had happened. In the space of a week, my marriage had imploded. I'd discovered my wife's affair, and I'd helped expose a criminal conspiracy. But somehow, for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt like I was in control. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. We need to talk. Now. Marcus. I ignored it and went to bed. Whatever he wanted to say could wait until the police arrested him. But as I lay in the darkness, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Men like Marcus didn't go down without a fight, and I just declared war on him. I was about to find out what that meant. I woke up Tuesday morning to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages, all from Marcus. The messages started angry and got progressively more desperate. You think you're clever, don't you? Catherine told me what you made her do. This isn't over. I have enough dirt on you to ruin your business. Call me back or you'll regret it. The last message, sent at 3 a.m., was different. I know where you live. I forwarded everything to Peter and the police, then got dressed and drove to my shop. I wanted to check my client files and make sure Marcus hadn't already done any damage. Travis was waiting for me when I arrived, looking nervous. Boss, we might have a problem. What kind of problem? Someone tried to break into the Johnson account last night. Triggered all kinds of alarms. The Johnson account was our biggest client, a chain of jewelry stores with high-end security systems. If their system had been compromised, it would destroy our reputation. What happened exactly? Someone with administrative access tried to disable the alarm system at their main store. When that didn't work, they tried to access the backup codes. Did they get in? No, but only because I'd changed all the access codes yesterday after you told me about the security breach. Whoever tried this had the old codes. I felt sick. Marcus. Who's Marcus? I explained the situation to Travis, who listened with growing anger. So this bastard was going to frame us for helping him rob our own clients? That was the plan. What do? We call every client, explain the situation, and change every code and password in our system. Then we document everything for the police. It took us 4 hours to contact all our clients and update their security. Most were understanding once I explained what had happened, but I could tell some were worried about trusting us with their security. At noon, Peter called with an update. The police want to interview you this afternoon. They're also issuing a warrant for Marcus's arrest. What about his wife? Sarah Flint's attorney called me this morning. Apparently, Mrs. Flint has been suspicious of her husband's activities for some time. Your recording was the final piece of evidence she needed. Is she filing for divorce? She filed this morning. And Jack? She's also pressing charges for fraud. Turns out Marcus has been stealing from their joint accounts to fund his extracurricular activities. After I hung up with Peter, I tried to get back to work, but I couldn't concentrate. Every time the door chimed, I expected to see Marcus walk in. At 2 o'clock, Catherine called. Jack, Marcus came to my motel this morning. What? Are you okay? I'm fine. I wasn't there. But the desk clerk said he was asking questions about me, trying to find out which room I was in. Where are you now? At the police station. They're taking my statement. Good. Stay there until they arrest him. Jack? He knows about the recording. I don't know how, but he knows. I felt a chill run down my spine. What did the desk clerk tell you exactly? That Marcus was angry, ranting about how I'd betrayed him and ruined his life. He said I was going to pay for what I'd done. Catherine, you need police protection. They're arranging something. But Jack, I'm scared. What if he comes after you too? I can take care of myself. He's not rational anymore. The desk clerk said he looked like he hadn't slept in days. After Catherine hung up, I called Travis over to my office. I want you to go home early today, and tomorrow work from home until this situation is resolved. What about you? I'll be fine, but I don't want you caught in the middle of this. Boss, Maybe you should go home too. I've got work to finish. Travis looked like he wanted to argue, but he gathered his things and left. I locked the door behind him and activated our security system. At 4 o'clock, I was reviewing client files when I heard someone trying the front door. Through the window, I could see Marcus standing outside, his face pressed against the glass. He looked terrible, unshaven, disheveled, wild-eyed. When he saw me looking at him, he started pounding on the door. "Open up, Jack. We need to talk." I called 911, then activated the recording system I used for client consultations. "The police are on their way, Marcus. You need to leave. I'm not going anywhere until we settle this. There's nothing to settle. You tried to destroy my business. You threatened my wife. It's over." "Your wife? She's not your wife anymore. She chose me." "Actually, she chose to help the police arrest you." Marcus's face twisted with rage. "She betrayed me, just like you did." "We didn't betray you. We stopped you. You think you've won? You think this is over? I think you're going to prison." Marcus pulled out his phone and held it up to the window. "See this? This is video of Catherine in my apartment. Video of her telling me she loves me, that she's leaving you for me. How do you think that's going to look in divorce court?" I felt my stomach drop. "You recorded her without her consent?" "I recorded everything. Every conversation. Every intimate moment. Your precious Catherine isn't as innocent as she pretends to be. You're sick. I'm practical. And now I'm going to make both of you pay for what you've done to me." In the distance, I could hear sirens approaching. Marcus heard them too. "This isn't over, Jack. You hear me? This isn't over." He ran to his car and sped away just as the police cars turned into the parking lot. I met the officers outside and gave them a full statement, including the recording of Marcus's threats. "We'll find him," the lead officer assured me. "He can't hide for long." But I wasn't so sure. Marcus had already proven he was capable of anything. That evening, I sat in my empty house and tried to process everything that had happened. In the space of a week, my marriage had ended. I'd exposed a criminal conspiracy, and I'd made an enemy who seemed determined to destroy me. My phone rang. "Catherine." "Jack, they arrested Marcus." "Where?" "At the airport. He was trying to fly to Mexico." I felt a wave of relief wash over me. "Is he in custody?" "Yes. And Jack?" "They found his laptop. It had videos of me, of other women. The police said it's evidence of multiple felonies." "Are you okay?" "No, but I will be. Jack, I need you to know something." "What?" "When I was with Marcus, when I thought I loved him, I was wrong. I was confused and scared, and I made terrible choices. But I never stopped loving you." "Catherine, I know it doesn't matter now. I know I destroyed everything we had. But I needed you to know that." "I appreciate that. Do you think, someday, you might be able to forgive me?" I was quiet for a long moment, thinking about everything that had happened, everything we'd lost. "I don't know," I said finally. "I honestly don't know. That's more than I deserve. Catherine, you did the right thing in the end. That matters. Thank you." After she hung up, I poured myself a drink and sat on my back porch, looking out at the garden Catherine had planted when we first moved in. The flowers were blooming, oblivious to the chaos that had consumed our lives. My phone buzzed with a text from Peter. "Marcus Flint arraigned on multiple charges. Bail denied. Sarah Flint's attorney says the divorce will be finalized within 60 days. Your divorce should be equally straightforward." I typed back, "Thank you for everything. Just doing my job. Jack, you might want to consider changing your locks, and maybe investing in a security system for your house. Already on it." I sat on the porch until the sun went down, thinking about the future. For the first time in months, I felt like I could see a path forward. It wouldn't be easy. I'd have to rebuild my business's reputation, deal with the divorce proceedings, and somehow learn to trust again. But I was free. Free from Catherine's manipulation, free from Marcus's threats, free from a marriage that had become a prison. My phone rang one more time. Unknown number. "Jack Leland." "Mr. Leland, this is Sarah Flint. I think we should meet." I thought about it for exactly 2 seconds. "When and where?" "Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock. There's a coffee shop on Main Street called The Daily Grind." "I'll be there. Mr. Leland, thank you for everything. Thank you, Mrs. Flint, for believing the truth." As I hung up, I realized that while one chapter of my life was ending, another was about to begin. And for the first time in months, I was looking forward to finding out what came next. The next morning, I arrived at The Daily Grind 10 minutes early and ordered coffee. Sarah Flint walked in exactly at 10, a tall, elegant woman in her early 40s with steel gray hair and intelligent eyes. "Mr. Leland, I'm Sarah. Please call me Jack." She sat down across from me and studied my face for a moment. "You look like a decent man." "I try to be." "My husband destroyed your marriage." "My wife destroyed my marriage. Your husband just provided the opportunity." Sarah smiled grimly. "That's generous of you. Most men would blame Marcus entirely." "Marcus is a predator, but Catherine made her own choices." "Yes, she did, just like I made mine." "What do you mean?" Sarah opened her purse and pulled out a folder. "I've been investigating my husband's activities for 2 years. I knew he was cheating, but I couldn't prove it. Your recording gave me everything I needed." "I'm glad it helped." "It did more than help. It ended a nightmare." She slid the folder across the table. "These are copies of everything I've gathered on Marcus. Bank records, hotel receipts, phone logs, photographs. I thought you might want them for your divorce proceedings." I opened the folder and scanned the contents. It was damning evidence of Marcus's systematic infidelity and financial fraud. "Why are you giving me this?" "Because you deserve to know the truth about what your wife got involved with, and because other women deserve to be protected from him." I closed the folder and looked at Sarah. "What will you do now?" "Start over. I'm 52 years old, and for the first time in my adult life, I'm free to make my own choices." "Any regrets?" "About divorcing Marcus?" "None. About staying married to him for so long? Every day." We talked for another hour about the legal proceedings, about the evidence, about the strange bond that forms between people who've been betrayed by the same person. As we prepared to leave, Sarah touched my arm. "Jack, your wife called me yesterday." "Catherine called you?" "She wanted to apologize. She said she was sorry for the pain she'd caused and that she hoped I could forgive her someday." "What did you tell her?" "I told her that forgiveness is earned, not given, but I also told her that helping to expose Marcus was a good start." "Do you think you'll ever forgive her?" Sarah considered the question. "I think forgiveness is less about the person who wronged you and more about freeing yourself from anger. So yes, eventually I'll forgive her, and Marcus, but I'll never forget what they did." As I drove home, I thought about Sarah's words. Forgiveness as freedom from anger. It was an interesting concept. That afternoon, I got a call from the district attorney's office. Marcus had agreed to plead guilty to multiple charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. He'd serve 3 to 5 years in prison and pay full restitution to his victims. "What about the recordings he made of Catherine and the other women?" I asked. "All destroyed, part of the plea agreement." I felt a wave of relief. Catherine would never have to worry about those videos surfacing. 2 weeks later, the divorce was finalized. Catherine got a small settlement and her personal belongings. I kept the house, the business, and most of our assets. The judge had been particularly unsympathetic to her blackmail scheme. Catherine moved back to her parents' house in Vermont. We spoke once after the divorce was final. "I'm starting therapy," she told me. "They're trying to understand why I made such terrible choices." "I think that's good. Jack, I know this doesn't change anything, but I want you to know that I'm grateful for how you handled everything. You could have destroyed me completely, but you didn't." "I'm not a vindictive person, Catherine." "I know. That's one of the things I loved about you. One of the things I threw away." "Take care of yourself." "You too. And Jack? I hope someday you find someone who deserves you." 6 months later, I was working late at the shop when Travis knocked on my office door. "Boss, there's someone here to see you." I looked up to see a woman in her 30s with dark hair and a warm smile. "Mr. Leland, I'm Jennifer Walsh. I think we have a mutual acquaintance." It took me a moment to place the name. "You're the lawyer Catherine consulted about the divorce." "Former lawyer. I don't represent her anymore." Jennifer stepped into my office. "I wanted to apologize for my role in what happened to you." "You didn't do anything wrong." "I gave her legal advice that she used to blackmail you. That makes me complicit." "You couldn't have known what she was planning." "No, but I should have recognized the warning signs. I've been practicing family law for 10 years, and I've never had a client ask such specific questions about false abuse allegations." I studied Jennifer's face. She seemed genuinely troubled by what had happened. "Why are you here?" I asked. "Because I wanted you to know that not all lawyers are willing to help people destroy their spouses. And because—" She hesitated. "Because I've been thinking about you." "Thinking about me how?" "Wondering how you're doing, whether you've been able to move on." "I'm working on it." "Would you like to have dinner sometime? Just dinner? Two people who've both been through difficult situations trying to figure out what comes next." I looked at Jennifer Walsh, this woman I barely knew, who was offering me something I hadn't had in months. Hope. I'd like that. Friday night, 7 o'clock? Friday night sounds perfect. As Jennifer left, Travis poked his head into my office. Boss? Was that what I think it was? What do you think it was? A beautiful woman asking you out. It was dinner. Just dinner. Travis grinned. Sure it was. You know what this means, right? What? It means you're finally ready to stop being a victim and start being a survivor. That Friday, I had dinner with Jennifer Walsh. We talked about law and technology, about books and movies, about everything except failed marriages and criminal ex-spouses. For 3 hours, I felt like a normal person again. As I walked her to her car, Jennifer turned to me and smiled. I had a wonderful time tonight. So did I. Would you like to do this again? Yes, I really would. She kissed my cheek and got in her car. As I watched her drive away, I realized that Travis was right. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a survivor. And for the first time since this whole nightmare began, I was looking forward to tomorrow. 1 year later, I married Jennifer Walsh in a small ceremony attended by close friends and family. Catherine sent a card with a simple message. Congratulations. You deserve happiness. Marcus was still in prison. Sarah Flint had started a nonprofit organization to help women escape abusive relationships. Travis had been promoted to partner in my business, which was thriving again. And me, I was happy. Not the naive happiness I'd felt in my first marriage, but the deeper contentment that comes from surviving betrayal and choosing to trust again. On our wedding night, Jennifer asked me if I ever regretted how everything had played out. Do you mean, do I regret that Catherine cheated on me and destroyed our marriage? I mean, do you regret not trying to save your marriage? Some people would have gone to counseling, tried to work things out. I thought about it for a moment. Jennifer, Catherine didn't just cheat on me. She blackmailed me into allowing it. She threatened to destroy my life if I didn't give her permission to betray me. That's not a marriage worth saving. What if she had just asked for a divorce instead? Then I would have been hurt, but I would have respected her honesty. Instead, she chose manipulation and coercion. She chose to make me complicit in my own humiliation. Jennifer nodded. I understand, and for what it's worth, I think you handled it perfectly. I handled it the only way I could and still live with myself. As I held my new wife in my arms, I thought about the journey that had brought me to this moment. The betrayal, the pain, the anger, the gradual healing, and finally, the courage to love again. Catherine had demanded one night with her ex-lover, threatening to ruin me if I refused. She got her night, but it cost her everything: her marriage, her reputation, her security, her future. Marcus got what he wanted too, but it led to his arrest, divorce, and imprisonment. In the end, they both got exactly what they demanded. They just didn't get what they expected. And me? I got something I never could have imagined when this nightmare began. I got a second chance at happiness with a woman who chose honesty over manipulation, trust over betrayal, love over selfishness. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well. Sometimes justice is just letting people face the consequences of their own choices. And sometimes, when you think your life is over, it's really just beginning.